Hello and welcome to another edition of The Extra Point. I'm Kendall Gammon, and today I am joined by Mr. Miles Schnaer. Miles, you own Crown Automotive, Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. You've been here a long time. We've known each other since 2000. First of all, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Kendall. I appreciate the opportunity. I enjoy helping you and doing whatever I can do to help you.
We have a good time.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this many times, but I think people would find it interesting, which is you've been in the car business. You can tell me how many years if you want, or maybe you don't want to. But either way, I mean, you've reached a level that is very respected, and I think people would find it interesting to hear about what inspired you, maybe who helped guide you, how you deal with things on a day-to-day basis, your motivation, anything like that. I think people would love to hear about.
Well, it started a long time ago. I graduated from Pitt State in 1971. Paula was still in school for a year, and I have a pre-med degree. I was trained in the service as a lab technician and assisted pathologist in autopsy. So I wanted to go back to medical school. My parents expected me to be a doctor. My dad had a little pharmacy downtown Kansas City, and that was kind of the choice. I was not a good student growing up.
Right.
I did
but you were probably a social student.
I was very good at socializing. Yeah,
Yes.
I had a ball in my hand or a glove on my hand most of the time, but enjoyed life.
Yep.
With a conscience.
Right.
I grew up with a conscience that my parents taught me that you can go out there and have a good time, but know that you're representing your family and your friends, and if you want to do something silly, then go ahead and do it. You're going to pay the price. But I got out of school, and they didn't have grades to get into medical school, so I had to go to physical therapy school or go back to graduate school. And I was 24 years old when I got out of school, and because I'd had a couple of years of junior college, and I went to the service for 2.5 years, and then back to school and for a couple of years at Pitt State. And a friend of mine, one of my closest friends back then, Larry Spakowski, said, "Well, why don't you try selling cars?" And I had no interest in selling because I sold clothes in school and while I was coming up, and so I had a little bit of sales
background
thing, but the thing that really drove me, I think, was in the back of my mind, people were saying you have a good bedside manner, and bedside manner means taking care of people, having that conscience and having a heart.
Right.
And that drove me to be philanthropically involved over the years. But almost 50 years ago, when all this craziness started in my life, and I went and interviewed at a couple of car dealerships, and I got lucky enough to get with the Cecil Van Tile organization. And for some reason, he saw something in me that actually Ron Huber and Frank Stinson were the managers, and they kind of brought me up in the business and just said, "Hey, if you listen to us, we'll get you where you want to go."
Right.
After a few years of selling cars, I really thought, well, this isn't really for me. And they talked me into staying. And just when you go to work for that organization, it's on the job training. You don't get a whole lot of training back in the 70s. And so, I just listened to them and followed my heart to succeed. I had to make some choices back then. To get married was one of them in 1972. I had that choice that gives you some reason to have to go out and make a living. And I just didn't want to let people down. My parents, my dad was still working, and he grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, and he was a tough guy. And
wow.
And so they demanded from me. They didn't restrict me, but if I was going to succeed, I knew I had to sacrifice. Had my buddies call me all the time. Let's go to the Royals game. Let's go out drinking. Let's do something social. And I just knew that if I stayed my course based on these people telling me that if you work hard, you'll get lucky, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I profess that. in the early years, when Paula was teaching school, uh, I didn't really do a whole lot, and it was all about getting there at work early and staying late. Uh, I eventually came up to the management ranks, ran Van Chevrolet, and then Cecil put me into a dealership, a Chevrolet deal in 1979 in Decatur, Illinois. I ended up getting the opportunity to buy him out in the mid 80s and bought Nissan, Olds, and Toyota. Came back to Kansas City to buy an Auto Plaza in his son's Auto Plaza, actually on Olathe. Bought that. Investment banking group came through, made a big asset sale, and we acquiesced and sold that. I have two daughters, and they were 6 months old and 2 years old. When we went to Decatur, they were 14 and 12 coming back to Kansas City. And as we've had conversations over the years about it, it was traumatic for them. They didn't know what I was going to do. They weren't going back to Decatur. And so I took a little bit of time. I still had the dealerships in Illinois. Took a little bit of time to settle them down once they got into college. Paula said, we can go wherever you want to go. And Chevrolet and Toyota came after me in 93 and about the dealerships in Lawrence. I was looking for bigger opportunities because I'm volume oriented, but I went and looked at them. We ended up making a deal, ended up selling the Chevrolet store about 10 years ago, buying Volkswagen. And we've won all kinds of awards. I've been very fortunate in my career over the years to be able to attract good people that have made my job a lot easier. When you have an organization that you don't have to be that good if you hire people that are better than you are. So it's like a coach.
Yes.
If you've got good players, you're going to win. If you're a good coach and you don't have good players, you can be the best coach there is, but if you don't have players to make it happen. And I've been very fortunate and going on 50 years this January.
Now you're alluding to a segment that I call the gratitude attitude. Just talking about what you're thankful for in your life, be it events, things that happened, or people, and all of the above. When I talk about gratitude, being thankful, what comes to mind for you in terms of maybe people or events in your life?
Well, it's what I said before. Is I grew up in a family that taught us the values of life. That if you do the right thing, you'll be rewarded for it. And my rewards are multiples. Having a wife to support me through this whole thing we've been married 48 years, but met 52 years ago when she was a freshman at Pitt State. I've had the opportunity to take certain things that have come to me based on the fact that you care, and that's something that I'll if I have a friend or a business associate and they have problems, I'll go to the mat. I'll spend all the money to help them out, whether it's family or whether it's a friend or an associate. So I've lived my life based on doing the right thing and helping people succeed. When we sold the Auto Plaza in 92, it was a traumatic situation, and Cecil's always been my mentor, my business mentor, and he is. And people use that word mentor pretty loosely, I think. But when you have a situation where you're going to have to make a decision whether you're going to stay with your family or you're going to go with your business associate, it's almost like life and death.
Right.
You're going to make a decision that's going to change your life because you think that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And whatever you decide is going to be the right thing. And I made the right decision, obviously, to stay with my family, and it's been good for me. But I don't even think about the other decision going with Cecil, and he had another Auto Plaza, another part of the country. He wanted me to go run, and he wasn't making me do that.
Right.
He just said, "Here's the opportunity. What do you think?" And I got big headitis. There was no question about it.
Yeah.
I thought I was better than I was, and And I had been successful for, was it 19 years, I guess, in Decatur. And as I sold cars, I came up through the ranks. I became department head. I became the general manager of a big store and went to Decatur and was lucky enough to, like I said, hire good people. But I was on a rocket ship, and why me? And as I look back, why not me?
Right. I think that's a great point. I mean, if not you, who? Right.
Right. And things turn out for the best in the end. My mom lived to be 99 years old, and she said, everything works out for the best in the end. And if you really have faith, and I do, I have a heart that I share with everybody, and could I have made a lot more money over the years being a little bit tougher? Probably, but it wouldn't have given me the satisfaction of knowing that I'm helping these people that are coming up. And I, over the years, have had department heads, general managers that have handled the stores that I've owned, but I've always wanted to talk to a sales associate, a technician, and let them know the opportunities that are in our business. Everybody says the car business is probably one of the lowest credibility businesses on the scale, and they say attorneys are right above us, but that's just not true.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity in our business. There's
Right.
a lot of successful dealers that do a lot more than I do for organizations around the country. But if you do the things the right way, again, being rewarded for it. I've got two great daughters that have humbled me. They have I reach out to them and say, I love you every night. We say prayers every night. We have one daughter, as you know, Allie in Boston, and Mandy and is here. She's a single mother of a 14-year-old boy. That's my son.
Right.
He's fulfilled the male side of my life.
Right. Absolutely.
Very well. And he's a kid.
No, I know Maddox. He's a fine young man, no doubt.
He's the best there is, because he's my grandson.
Absolutely.
But he teaches me to be humble as well. And I never take anything for granted. I've done things that have given us a lot of success and a lot of fun, and that's all a part of your life. Is as long as it doesn't kill you, you'll get through.
You got a chance,
right?
Yeah. I do another segment I call Game Changer, but I think maybe you just described it, Game Changer, to me. Was the game changer for you in life somewhat that decision you had to make that Mr. Van Tuyl gave you to go somewhere or stay with the family? And I mean, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that was
or a big one anyhow.
Yeah, a game changer for me in the beginning was being smart enough, I guess, or just through mere need. Was there were two used car salesmen at Van Chevrolet when I was coming up through the ranks selling cars, and I was a newbie in this world that if you were going to be in the car business in Kansas City, you wanted to be with Van Chevrolet.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough to be one of the 10 sales guys, and we sold 200 used cars off of a postage stamp used car lot on Lamar and Johnson Drive back in the 70s. And he and I, there were two salesmen. There was one tough guy from Richmond, Missouri. I'll never forget Bill Ricehouse. Tough guy, just would do everything he could, scrupulously or unscrupulously, to succeed. And then there was this other dapper, short little gentleman, wore a straw hat, old school, Otis Culbertson. And they both sold 30, 40, 50 cars a month. Otis did it the way that was very pragmatic. Bill Ricehouse did it like a bull in the china closet. He'd go out and take customers and and just what do we got to do to sell a car today? What are we going to do? And Otis was that dapper, take the steps and do things the right way. So I just tried to meld the two of those concepts together for my style. And, you know, back then, getting people to work for you, getting your families to help send you business, and knowing that they would get taken care of. So I'd say probably that would be the first. The game changer was getting in the car business instead of staying in the medical profession. That was probably one of them.
Okay.
The biggest game changer in my life was meeting Paula.
Gotcha.
She's stayed with me through thick and thin. My dad bought me a '68 GTO when I got out of the Army, and I was a big man on campus when I went to Pitt State because this car was spectacular. And I was a clothes horse back then, and didn't wear jeans, wore slacks, and that was back when you wear jeans and t-shirts and that's what you wore. But I think I fooled her into making her think that I was going to really be somebody because I was in pre-med, and my first paycheck selling cars was $50 for 2 weeks. And I think that either recognized the fact that she was going to have to help me to push me to succeed. But that's probably one of the biggest decisions that I made, was a really pretty good one, because I never had girlfriends. You know, growing up, I was busy playing sports and having fun. And then you get in college and you still are not studying and socializing. You get in a fraternity and it's all fun. But when we met, and I knew that this was going to be a situation that was probably going to go forward, and it was up to her to come along with the ride, because I didn't know what direction I was going, but she helped me make those decisions, and still does.
No, I'm fortunate enough to know Paula very, very well, and we dine frequently, you and I and her, and around her a lot. So I can definitely corroborate that story, that it has been fabulous. You know, I hear you saying something that comes to mind, which reminds me of a quote, which is, be yourself because everybody else is all taken. And whether it was your selling style or how you dressed at college or how you deal with people, it seems like generally you just try to be authentic, be you, and do the right thing. And if that doesn't work for people, then you can't do anything about it, because you're going to be who you are.
Well, I was on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors in Lawrence. And I've been involved with a lot of different organizations, because if I can make a difference, I want to make that difference. And it's not ego that's driving me. It's a matter of fact. I don't know that, but I feel like that's the thing. And a few years ago, when I was on the chamber board, I was missing meetings because we were back in and out of town. And one of the directors, or one of the employees of the chamber, when I came to a meeting, and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I haven't been able to come to more meetings." And Kathy Lewis is who it was. She's a customer, and she's retired since, but she says, "You just don't know the effect you have on the people on this board when you're here." And I said, "Well, Kathy, that's very nice of you to say that, but I don't feel that. You know, I try to do the best and I can, and I want people to know that I care, and if there's something I can do to help them, whether it's financially or, you know, I get involved personally, so I don't have to write those checks that much." So that hit home to me, that, and I think about that a lot, is you don't know your worth until you do something to be involved. All of a sudden, just like Salute Day, they didn't want us to get off the board or off the committee, because things good were happening. And that was great, and I appreciated that comment. But it's time to, term limits, I believe in.
Yes, exactly.
and we won't get into politics, but there are times when it's time for somebody maybe a little fresher, a little bit more drive, because you can get dumbed down. I'm sure it happens in sports that
Yes.
you've been there long enough to where you just are very comfortable in what you're doing, and people get comfortable with you too. But then things start speeding up a little bit more in the game, and you just have to pass it on to somebody maybe a little bit younger and a little bit more versatile. And I don't know that, but that just makes sense to me. And that's kind of the way I am with my business now. I've sold interest to two of my key guys, as you know, the guys, and they're young and full of that piss and vinegar that I call it. And they come in early, stay late, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
And that's very rewarding to me that I had the fortunate to be able to have those guys with me.
Yeah, you've jumped into the mentor role that you talked about Cecil did for you, Van Tile. I think that's interesting. We talked earlier in another segment called Make a Difference, and I think that's something that you and Paula do in so many different fashions. You've illustrated a little bit, and I know it does involve business to a degree, but it also doesn't, in terms of so much that you've been involved with KU Athletics, of course, being in Lawrence, that makes sense. And it's been, I think, a great endeavor for you. But then at Pittsburgh State and the things you've done there, I mean, you and Paul have talked multiple times to me about how much you've enjoyed being able to help, and not only help, but be able to see what's happening and what's good is coming from the support that you're able to give, whether it's time and or financial. Can you just kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, it goes back to when we got together. It was a phenomenon back in the 2000,
yeah,
when he hooked up. But before that, I had Chevrolet, and we were the car of the Chiefs. So we had coaches and cars, and that was that was way back when we gave the staff vehicles through Chevrolet, and we had. I can't name the guys that we had in cars at this point, but the Mike Whites and the Dick Vermeils and Marcus Patton. I had Marcus in a car, and when your agent called me and said, "Hey, I've got a guy here that's been signed by the Chiefs and would like to talk to you about a car," and at that time. I just said, I think I've had my experience with athletes, especially professional athletes. Some of them aren't as caring about the vehicles they drive, and it puts you in a tough position sometimes when you want to do things for people, and so your agent called me, and I said, well, tell me a little bit more about Kendall, and he started reading. I think the first or second thing out of his mouth said it played in the 1991 championship at Pitt State. I said, send him out. And that's all it took.
Went from there.
When you come from Southeast Kansas and you're a gorilla, that's a different breed.
It is.
So and having the professional career, being drafted by the Steelers and still in the NFL, must be something that you're doing right. And so we started that bond back then, and I think that when you retired, you got back involved with Pitt State through the development side of it. And Paul and I, Mandy, our oldest daughter, is a Pitt State grad, so 3 out of 4 of us are Pitt State grads. So we would send in the obligatory $150 to $1,000, which it grew to over the years. And when we moved back to Kansas City, not knowing we'd ever come back to Kansas City when we went to Decatur, my goal was to expand, but was to expand out of the base of Decatur. And when I got the Auto Plaza opportunity, coming back home made sense to me. It didn't quite match up with my kids and my wife's thought process. after a while, they were real happy with that decision, but there was a lot of pain before the gain. And so, when you got back involved with the development, we started talking, and it was, and I guess it's your demeanor that when I said we had thought about doing more for Pitt State because of our relationship with the three of us,
Mm-hmm.
and what is there that's available, and you laid out some opportunities for us, let us kind of smorgasbord it a little bit and pick some things that you were looking at for us, and we respected that, and we felt very comfortable doing that. But when you get back involved with your alma mater, KU is great because they brought me into their family,
Right.
because of the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an overwhelming experience.
Right.
We helped Bill and Cindy Self start their foundation, which gives me the opportunities for having the championship rings.
Yep.
And I wear them very proudly. And,
Yeah.
And it's fun for us, or for me anyway. And Paula gets the lavalier, so she gets to
Mm-hmm.
wear her gear to the
Mm-hmm.
games and around. When we're in Florida, we go to the KU bar down there, and we
Right.
get a chance to kind of show off our stuff. But getting back involved with Pitt State, and meeting Dr. Scott, and his direction as far as what he's done for Pittsburgh, and the way that the kind of guy that he is, and the staff that he has.
Right.
I'm on the foundation board, and Kathleen Flannery is a Pitt State. She's I don't think she's a Pitt State grad, but
She's
I
not,
think
but
she's
been there a long time and is the
been-
vice president and
right.
heads up the foundation.
And so she's very comforting when it comes to running that organization. Like she's like me with KU, she's like that way with Pitt State. But the people that Dr. Scott's hired and the staff, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all engaged. They're all either been at Pitt State for a long time or Pitt State grads.
Right.
And so it as you know, a few years ago, I was given the Meritorious Alumni Award, which is the highest
Mm-hmm.
alumni award that you can get, which was overwhelming to me
Right.
personally, but very rewarding to me in a way that we've made a difference down there based on some of the
Right.
opportunities we've had to donate and to support. We're in a level down there that we're going to continue to
Mm-hmm.
do that, and probably raise our stature down there, just because it's, and we scholarship kids to the automotive tech
Yeah.
side of it. And it was kind of a funny story when Dr. Scott asked me, or I think John was the one who said, "Hey, you're a biology major, and you graduated from that department. We want you to speak to the students." But thought about it, that I've been in automotive technology for
Right.
50 years. Why would I not want to talk to the
Mm-hmm.
technology side of it, especially automotive? Because I know a lot more about automotive now than I do to know
Right.
about biology.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it made sense that, what would you say to a student that's getting ready to graduate from college about the future? And I just told them, I said, if you go to work for somebody, make it a career.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it a job, and
Right.
give them 110%. Pretty simplistic.
Right.
That's what you should do, you think, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Right. It's really been amazing to be a part of, and I feel so very fortunate. I mean, we could talk literally hours about some things. I think it's wildly interesting. This is the extra point. So at the end, I always give my guests the chance to make that extra point, either something that you went over today that you want to repeat, or if there's something else that comes to mind that you feel like talking about that our viewers might like to hear.
I received the Lawrence Business Hall of Fame award here a couple of years ago, and I said something in the press conference that I think brought a laugh, but it was true. They said, I looked up illustrious, a Hall of Fame in the dictionary, and it says somebody or a team does something illustrious in their career to be considered for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And I said, I've been called a lot of things in my career and in my life, but illustrious was not one of them. But if that's what people think of me, and that's what people should think of themselves to succeed,
Right.
then why not? I'm very fortunate, and if I were to go away today, I feel like I've succeeded in making a difference in people's lives. Years ago, I was watching the Major League Baseball game, and Joe Morgan played for Cincinnati. He was an announcer, and they asked him that question. He said, "What drives you every day? What was the thing that gets you to do what you do?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "My father told me," he said, "if I can make a difference in one person's life that has helped them to succeed, then you've succeeded as a person in your life." And I can't count the times that I feel like that I've done something that has changed either directions, and I would hope that. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I go back to something you said, which is basically, if you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else want to believe in you? And I think that's a great message. You talk about illustrious and doing some uncommon things and helping people. And that's what it's about. It's about making a difference, give your game ball, do the right thing for somebody for no other reason than it's the right thing to do. And that's what I've heard you say throughout this interview. So, Miles, I appreciate you coming on. We will continue, obviously, to be friends throughout our life. But to be able to sit down and talk with you on this level is a lot of fun. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kendall, for giving me the opportunity. This has been awesome.
Yep. Well, he is Miles Schnaer. I am Kendall Gammon, and this has been another episode of The Extra Point. Take care.